manifesting as the goddess, we receive these gifts as a sacred offering, celebrating our interconnectedness with all of life. May they nourish us and strengthen us, that we may be capable of bringing benefit to all we touch. Welcome to Star Circle Season 3, Episode 3. The focus of this podcast today is the natural health practices that can be used to completely recover after a serious injury requiring emergency medical and surgical intervention. In the 1990s, I had left the profession of nursing and was in graduate school and working. I called myself a lifestyle consultant. And at my clients' requests, I wrote a list of my wellness prescription. They were asking me, what do you do to stay in such great shape? So I was trying to explain at that time that building your immune system is the natural health approach to getting in shape, staying in shape. So here's the things that were on that list. It was before the computer, and it was just a one-page flyer. And it started with scrub and brush your skin, because your skin is an organ of elimination, and it needs exfoliating daily, and it's a wonderful practice to do first thing in the morning, to dry brush your skin. You can also get a special brush for your face and brush the skin on your face to make it glow with good health. Reversing the effects of gravity is also something that can make your body glow with good health. So we're talking slanting, hanging, dancing, or bouncing, yoga. These are all ways to reverse the effects of gravity. But I must remind you, don't reverse gravity when you're constipated. Reversing the effects of gravity actually benefits all body systems. Gets the toxins out of your feet and legs. It improves the circulation all over your body. In the gut, it lifts all those organs that are just piled on top of each other, lifts them up. You can immediately feel the difference. It helps get nutrients to your brain, and your face, again, glows with good health. The reason I say make sure you've had a bowel movement before you do your yoga or slanting is because you want good, clean fluids circulating to your brain, and all those organs in your belly, they won't benefit from the reversing the effects of gravity if there's old hard poop in there. Avoid food stuffs with no nutritive value. The 5 evil whites are an excellent example of food with no nutritive value. That's white rice, white pasta, white flour, white sugar, and white salt. Um, they're not only devoid of nutrition, but they're actually taxing on the body. Whenever we put something in with no nutritive value, the body has to work on what to do with it. If it's not helpful at the immediate moment, it's stored. That's how we become toxic, and why junk food is not only not nutritious, but it's harmful. Drink lots of pure water. A good recipe for that is um, the not a recipe, it's a math problem. You take your weight and divide it by 2, and that tells you the ounces that you should drink every day. So again, your weight divided by 2 equals the number of ounces that you should drink every day. So that's a minimum. And of course, if you are um, working out, uh, exercising, sweating a lot, working hard physically, you need to replace the water that's you're sweating out. You need to replace more, but minimum your weight divided by 2 in ounces every day. Eat lightly. I can't overemphasize that overeating is one of the worst things. I think probably the worst thing we do to ourselves. It causes all those hernias and fistulas and fibulas and all sorts of toxic conditions that result in disease. Because when you're overeating, you're not just stretching your digestive tract out, you're not allowing time every day for the elimination phase. That's why I say to fast regularly. I was recommending the daily fasting 30 years ago. I'm so happy to see the intermittent fasting is becoming a common phrase. And what that means is that you allow 14 hours after your last meal of the day before you put solid food in the next day. This allows your body to clean. And usually part of your fasting time is when you're sleeping. And they've proven that all body systems are cleaning and doing things when we're sleeping, different from during the day when we're eating. Include a variety of organic fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes, and nuts. A dollop at every meal of some of these things can accentuate and improve digestion. Actually, that was a mistake. I'm going to get into food combining theory later. You don't want to have all that at once. Include a variety of organic fruit, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and nuts in your diet. in your daily 10 hours of eating. Buy a juicer and use it often. Juicing is an excellent thing that you can do during your 14 hours of fasting. Now, I have always taken vitamins because I didn't believe the recommended daily allowance. And the thing with vitamins is you have to be really careful of the source. Some of them are just more of the corporate factory farming chemically produced food. So be real careful where you buy your vitamins. Of course, I recommend something like a natural health co-op or health food store for vitamins. And I recommend you include a stress formula that includes at least vitamin C and vitamin B. They are the water-soluble vitamins, so we need to put them in every day. Antioxidants protect our vitamins. Multi-minerals, the food is the soil has been devoid of minerals my whole life, so we need to supplement with minerals. It's not in the food. Enzymes are necessary for digestion, and plant essences can be of great benefit in supplementing. Learn what herbs are your allies, grow them, and make your own tinctures. I highly recommend any book by Susan Weed. She's the herbal wise woman and grandmother, and she will help you learn what it means to have herbal allies. Include, now here's the superfoods that I was meaning. You should have a dollop at every meal of one of these. Include algae, spirulina, green leaves, wheatgrass, chlorophyll, and or sprouted seeds. So we're all about alternatives. I mentioned the evil whites right off. There's wonderful alternatives. I love the cauliflower rice, and you can use root crops to make things you would use flour for. Um, the most exciting trend in health food for me, I think, is these little machines where you can make any kind of shaped noodle that you want out of vegetables. Zucchinis and carrots make great pasta. The Himalayan pink salt is a wonderful alternative. And real maple syrup is also an excellent alternative. But let me mention some herbs that are very useful instead of pharmaceuticals as an alternative to pharmaceuticals. Now, when you have a serious life-threatening infection, by all means, take antibiotics. Um, but if you can go natural, golden seal and echinacea are excellent antibacterials, and they don't kill all your good stuff. That's the problem with antibiotics. So every day with cooked food, and especially if you've had a round of antibiotics, be sure to use your probiotics, especially acidophilus type living organisms. You can kill internal parasites with clove, wormwood, black walnut, cayenne pepper, garlic, papaya, and pineapple. You can clean your kidneys with parsley, corn silk, uva ursa, ginger, B6, and magnesium. You can clean your liver, gallbladder, and blood with castor oil packs and burdock, licorice root, milk thistle, turkey rhubarb, olive oil, and food-grade peroxy. I highly recommend cleaning your colon with psyllium bentonite, enemas, and colonics. And you're going to hear a lot more about shit from me in other episodes. And this one. Receive healing, loving touch and body work, including acupuncture and acupressure. Move your body. Stretch and walk. Do aerobic yoga and isometrics and somatics exercises. Meditate, explore your mind-body connection. Be happy, enjoy life. Breathe in beautiful sounds and colors. Do your emotional work. Express your feelings. Keep a journal. So I added a few things over the years. One of them was take care of your teeth. Pus near your brain has been called the #1 cause of depression and mental illness. They actually told us that in my nurse's training 50 years ago. Okay? So don't neglect any infection in your teeth. Get it taken care of immediately. Hoe your garden naked. The entire surface of our bodies need exposure to clean air and sunshine. So I was finishing my PhD in natural medicine, and I was talking to a female emergency room medical doctor whom I respect a great deal. And I was asking her what she thought it takes being healthy. And her #1 thing was attitude. And then the last thing I added to the list was to treat yourself like you are the goddess. So hence we are doing body temple retreats now and talking about how to take care of yourself so that you can be your highest, most excellent, awesome, capital S self. Then I broke my back really bad. I learned about Anchor from Michael Moore's podcast, Rumble. He said Anchor is a free, easy-to-use platform for making your own podcast, and that Anchor really believes in helping people just like you and me to get our voices heard. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started with your podcast. I know you'll be glad you did. If you are able to support my podcast, it would be greatly appreciated. Anchor has a system where you may do a recurring donation of 99 cents, $4.99, or $10 or $9.99. And of course, you could discontinue at any time. Go to anchor.fm/REVDRJUDE to set that up. And thank you very much. Star Circle episode 3 in my first season is a universal worship service focusing on forgiveness, where I read texts from all the world religions about how important forgiveness is. And I explain that there's a 4-step process to forgiveness. And the first step is, if you're in danger, get out of the situation. The second step is to look at your feelings, feel your feelings around what you think happened or is going on. And the third step is to reframe it if you can, to look at your abuser in a different way, kind of the moving beyond victim consciousness idea. So in 2012, I left what I thought, was a wonderful relationship. And then I realized that it wasn't anymore, and that it had become abusive. So I started writing this 4-step process, and I removed myself from the situation. I started the dealing with my feelings about what I thought was happening, and that chapter was called An Abusive Relationship, where I thought that I had never been in a abusive relationship, and then I kind of realized, well, maybe all the men I'd been with had been bullies, and I had been the classic echo to narcissists all along. But anyway, that's another story. My third chapter, the reframing, I called To Love Again. And I'm going to read you a quote from that. If I'm ever going to learn to love again, I have to let go of this hatred and anger I feel for himself and his side of the triangle. I release them. I set them free. I release me. I set myself free. I forgive them for being themselves. I forgive myself for not being myself. I now embark on the wonderful journey of reclaiming my magnificent, sacred, holy, and happy self. So there's a reason that I jumped in my podcast to the subject of forgiveness. And it is that I realized I had not completed the fourth step when I was reviewing my wellness prescription for miraculous recovery. It was like a glaring hole. And so I thought, I need to take care of this before I can finish my podcast. So let's look at the last step in the forgiveness process. It's called reconstructing your life. Reconstructing your life means getting back on track or even setting a new direction. The best way to remove suffering from your life is to act with the intention to reduce the suffering of other sentient beings. It's better to focus on the future than the past. One of the beauties of forgiveness is that the more people in the past whom we forgive, the fewer people there are in the present who seem offensive and irritating. Excuse me. Also, releasing old injuries cuts down on the reactive dramas of life and leaves your attention free to concentrating on reconstructing the life you prefer. The first and last person you need to forgive is yourself. It helps to remember that you always did, for one reason or another, what you felt you had to do at the time. So, another quote I thought was useful in, or maybe the first quote I put in my uh, writing about this chapter, comes from Ram Dass. The ego is based in fear. Spirit and soul are based in love. Live in love. Again, that was by Ram Dass. So it's been 10 years of letting go. I now see that letting go is really a constant 24/7 spiritual practice we need to um, embrace. We need to let go with every breath. We need to let go every time fear comes up. We need to let go of self obsession. We need to let go of our ego. So I was getting ready to tell you about all the wonderful things I've done to reconstruct myself and how I've committed my life to being of benefit to all beings, that I never even think about himself anymore. But I still think about him every day. And I'm seeing those thoughts. I am seeing those thoughts as being more loving as I let go. But I also see that I'm not done with forgiveness. Perhaps we're never done with forgiveness. Maybe it's a daily um, spiritual practice too. Um, my brand name, Reverend Dr. Jude, is touted as an expert educator in natural medicine, nutrition, and detox. But Jasmine Crystal Tara B., that's my spiritual name that I've acquired in the last 10 years, and it's the name that I titled this chapter, the person I've reconstructed myself to be, is still very, very much a student. And my beloved, respected teachers include Pir Shabda Khan, Prema Dasara, Dr. Stephen Greer, and Florentine Ionita. and many others. So I'm working on the podcast, and I'm working on the forgiveness thing, and well, actually, I'd heard that, successful authors continue to rework things. And that's really what I'm doing here. I'm repackaging my old free natural health articles into my podcast. And so again, I'm in this podcast. I'm getting ready to tell you about how all the wonderful natural health things I shared were on my Miraculous, my wellness prescription 30 years ago, how they helped me recover from my broken back, requiring life-saving spinal surgery. And I do recommend these practices to others recovering from life-threatening injuries or surgery in order that they too can have a miraculous recovery. But oh my goodness, ding, 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 I have to include forgiveness and humility. The first time I looked at my wellness prescription for miraculous recovery, the article, oh my goodness, it was like a ton of bricks hitting me in the head. It was a eye-opening, powerful, humbling experience that brought me to my knees, literally. When I read, then I broke my back really bad, journal entries by himself begin and describe the accident and continue describing the details of 12 days in the hospital when I was heavily sedated. He was at my bedside 24/7 holding my hand. When I go home to his house from the hospital, his oldest daughter arranges a schedule of their friends coming and going around the clock to help. I had no money. I was in a terrible mood. I couldn't even wipe my own ass. It's embarrassing. Here I was just talking about hating this man, and for God's sakes, show a little respect and a whole hell of a lot of gratitude, dear. I say to myself, I would not have had this miraculous recovery that I did. I may have not even survived without himself, his family, and his community of friends. Okay, so what happened? I was a green rider and just wanting to be part of this wild woman horse club so bad. I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing. I had borrowed a young, huge horse and taken him home, and he wasn't happy. So I rode him out to the camp and got another young um, horse that I thought they would keep each other company. And I was going to, it's called ponying, meaning I'm riding the great big horse and I've got the little horse on a rope. And well, they weren't having any of it. So I have to forgive myself for that. And well, I can tell you uh, what the doctor thought made my natural recovery. But first, let me go back to the hospital. Is that when I realized I was going to have spinal surgery for a broken lumbar, and I understood that what the, the, the current um, treatment was two 12-inch rods on either side of the spine, fusing 12 inches of the spine. And I knew from nursing that people who have that are never comfortable again, sitting, standing, doing anything. So I was like, I can't have that. I'm a dancer, I'm a mover, I'm a natural healer. I can't be fused. So, because I was in such great shape, he was able to do this new experimental kind of thing where I have only uh, two. I'm fused from L4 to L2 with this like C clamp thing and some screws. So I was in a body cast for 4 months. And when I went to my first doctor appointment, I think it was at 2 months, he said, "Oh, I can see you're wearing your cast." And I was like, "Well, how can you tell?" And I was. And people like a cast, people had wrote all over it, and it was removable so that I didn't have to wear it when I was in bed, and so that my people who were helping me would wash it off so it didn't look so dirty. But so when I said to him, "How can you tell I've been wearing it?" And he said, "'Cause it's dirty." And he said most people don't wear it, and they put it on to come to their appointment, and he can tell on the x-ray, and he can tell by looking at it that it's brand new. On my fourth appointment, or maybe third appointment, maybe it was the last appointment or the one where I got out of the cast, um, he said he thought the reason that I was doing so well is because I hadn't gained a lot of weight. Uh, so I do understand that most people who um, would be in a body cast for 4 months would just pig out. And I was, I was adverse to that. Um, I asked him when I got home, "Can I go for walks?" And I think maybe at 2 weeks, or maybe right away, he said I could walk, and with assistance. So I had a walker, and then one of those belts around me that my helper could hang on to. And as soon as I could, I started walking around the block at least once a day. And this was not sidewalk. It was natural ground with rocks. Um, and I didn't get addicted to opiates. So that I think is huge. Um, I I got off the morphine as soon as I could. And then they sent me home with, the oxy and hydro. But I didn't like how it made me feel. I felt like it didn't help my mood at all. I was really in a dark night of the soul, and I didn't need to have any more self-hatred or ruining my personality uh, by the opiates. So again, I have to credit the wonderful community I was living in supported all kind of natural therapies, and I started having a drink every night that was made with poppies, organically grown poppies, in moonshine, just a little bit, with fresh from the cow cream, organic. So that really helped for sleeping. And I got off the pain pills as soon as I could and exchanged it for other feel good methods. I smoked a lot of pot. I usually had a glass of wine with lunch. Um, I got regular massages. I got physical therapy. One of the ways himself helped me, helped save my life, was he got me on disability insurance so that I had Medicaid. So I had therapists coming to the house. I think it was 4 days a week. So the the thing that other thing that's really high on my list is was for pain control and sleep was I'm a shit expert, okay, and I became a shit expert because my I was a constipated baby, and I just started, and then when I was 21 and I got into natural health, uh, eliminating, I was told, was just as important as nutrition. So I had a 22-inch waist with a 15-inch scar that went from my navel over to my left hip and then up to my uh, lowest thoracic vertebra, which they took out and ground up into paste and used it in this titanium mesh shield around the burst and compressed and pierced uh, spinal cord. And a vertebra grew back there in its place through the cage, and my rib they took out grew back. And I am not sure that would have happened if I wasn't pain free and sleeping well and getting a little enema twice a day. Now, I couldn't do it myself, and we're not talking a full on enema, but himself, this was part of his practice, okay? He was 20 years older than me. And when he was, this happened to me when I was 50, so he was 70. When he was 45, he had discovered colon hydrotherapy, basically. And he had rigged up in the bathroom where he had a hose with a little nozzle on it, and he would spray. He used a lot of force and pretty hot water, and he did not put it in. He just sprayed it on his asshole after taking a shit. Okay, he took a shit in the toilet every morning, and then he got up and he stepped into the shower, and while showering, put this special nozzle on, this tube, and sprayed his asshole with forceful hot water, and opened up this door in the bottom of the shower, and a whole bunch of shit just fell out. Okay, so this was his secret to longevity and being as happy and healthy as he could be. Okay, so immediately as soon as I got home, I didn't shit the whole time I was in the hospital for 12 days. And then in order to go home, you have to shit. So they gave me a suppository. And oh my God, that was the worst, most foul shit of my life. Okay, so when I got home, we immediately started with I would step into the shower, and I had my own nozzle, and I used comfortable body temperature water, and I put the little nozzle up close enough to, or somebody did to help me when I couldn't reach my asshole. Just put the nozzle up against the asshole close enough, not really inserting, but close enough that the water would go in. So I put a little bit of water in there, maybe a cup or two, and then little rocks, rabbit pellet, hard raisins would come out. And I did this every morning and every evening before bed, the whole time I was in the body cast. It just made sense to me because it was a lumbar vertebra that we were trying to heal. The whole area was inflamed, that I could barely sit on the toilet, much less do any stressing and straining, squeezing out a hard turd. Anyway, so I believe that this contributed immensely to my miraculous recovery, and maybe it was the biggest thing. So I don't believe there's any other issues on the list that I need to just share and discuss with you. Other than if something happens to you where you need help, or let me back up. When we injure ourselves, our chances of re-injury increase exponentially. Okay? So when you cannot take care of yourself and are in danger of injuring yourself, you must get help. You must accept help when you need it, okay? Let your friends and family help you and take care of you when you need it. All right? If you're not feeling good, it's really hard to wash and chop your vegetables and make your juice. You need help. So please include that in the things that you're going to do for yourself if you need it. Another thing I added to my list regarding attitude is don't take anything personally. And I've since read many times, many places, that this could be the secret to happiness. Again, the, the, the man helped me with the Medicaid so that bills, the most of the bills, it was $100,000, my 12 days in the hospital. And my Medicaid paid for all but $2,000 of that. And his community of friends really had when I was well enough to dance, they had a big party with a band and raised the money I needed to pay off the rest of those bills. So the last thing I'm going to share is that spiritually, an attitude of gratitude is vital. And I cannot thank himself, our friends and community, and the doctors enough for their help in my recovery. Everything lost is found again, in a new form, in a new way. Everything hurt is healed again, in a new time, in a new day. Change is, touch is, touch is, change is. Change us, touch us, change us.